"Marry my daughter if you fix this Ferrari." The heiress never expected his answer. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the small town, where the sound of tools clinking against metal echoed from a modest auto shop at the edge of Main Street. Inside, a young mechanic named Daniel wiped the grease from his hands, his face streaked with sweat. He had grown up fixing bicycles, then trucks, then cars, never for wealth, but because solving broken things gave him peace. Life had never been generous. His father had left when he was 12, his mother worked double shifts at a diner, and Daniel carried the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Still, he never complained. To him, kindness and hard work were worth more than any fortune. That day, a sleek black Ferrari pulled into the shop, an image so out of place against the rusty pickup trucks and old sedans around it that even Daniel stopped mid-breath. From the driver's seat stepped a young woman, dressed in elegance yet with a subtle sharpness in her gaze. Behind her, an older man in a crisp suit emerged, the kind of man whose presence commanded attention without words. The girl was Evelyn Hart, daughter of Charles Hart, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the state. The Ferrari, he explained, had broken down during their countryside trip, and none of the mechanics in nearby towns dared to touch it. Daniel approached humbly, his heart pounding. He had read about the Harts in newspapers, their names tied to skyscrapers, charities, and fortunes that could buy entire towns. Evelyn, bored and impatient, crossed her arms. She looked at Daniel with the faintest smirk. "If you can fix this Ferrari," she said mockingly, "you can marry me." Her father chuckled, though not entirely as a joke. To him, the test was about more than the car, it was about seeing who had the courage to face a challenge others feared. Daniel didn't laugh. He didn't boast. He simply nodded, as if the challenge itself deserved respect. "I'll try," he said quietly. The shop grew silent except for the sound of tools against steel. Hours passed as Daniel worked, his hands moving with steady precision. Evelyn rolled her eyes at first, scrolling through her phone, barely paying attention. But as the minutes turned into hours, something shifted. She saw not just a mechanic, but a man whose eyes burned with quiet determination, whose hands bore scars of honest labor, and whose silence was filled with dignity. He wasn't trying to impress, he was simply giving his best. When the engine roared back to life, the air changed. The Ferrari purred like new, and Evelyn's mocking expression softened into awe. Her father clapped Daniel on the back. "Son, you've done what others refuse to even attempt," he said warmly. "That takes courage and heart." But Daniel surprised them both. He stepped back, shook his head, and said words Evelyn would never forget, "I didn't fix this for a marriage, sir. Or for money. I fixed it because it was broken, and that's what I do. I fix what's broken." The shop fell quiet. Evelyn stared at him, her eyes stinging with an emotion she couldn't name. She had grown up surrounded by wealth, men chasing her father's approval, people flattering her for her name rather than her soul. And here was someone who had been offered her hand in jest, someone who could have grabbed at riches, and instead, he chose humility. Later, when they prepared to leave, Charles Hart leaned closer to Daniel. "You know," he said, his voice softer, "I once built my empire from a broken typewriter and an idea no one believed in. Men who do things for love of the work, not for gain, are the kind of men who change the world. Don't underestimate what you did here today." That night, Evelyn found herself restless. She kept replaying Daniel's words. "I fix what's broken." For the first time, she realized how empty her world had been, how much she longed for someone who valued people more than possessions. Days later, she returned to the shop alone, no Ferrari this time, just herself. She found Daniel under the hood of a pickup, grease on his face, but that same quiet fire in his eyes. "I came back," she admitted softly, "because I realized something. You don't need to marry me to prove anything. But maybe I need someone like you to teach me what really matters." Daniel smiled, surprised but not dazzled by her name or beauty. He saw her for what she was, a young woman searching for meaning beyond her wealth. And in that small garage, something unexpected bloomed. Not a fairy tale of riches or bargains, but a bond built on humility, respect, and truth. Years later, people would talk about Evelyn Hart walking away from her father's boardroom to start community projects alongside a humble mechanic. They would whisper about the heiress who chose love over luxury, and the man who fixed more than cars, he fixed hearts, starting with hers. Because sometimes the greatest answers don't come from power or wealth. They come from those who choose kindness when the world offers temptation, who heal what's broken simply because it's the right thing to do. And that is how one mechanic, with grease on his hands and honesty in his soul, gave an heiress the one thing her fortune could never buy: hope.